speaking
Good
on
job,
that,
Cokehead.
but speaking, Jesus, but speaking on that, um, in the following of this, um, it was reported that Cultaholic, Jesus, Cultaholic reported that the Young Bucks sent out feelers to express interest in possibly signing with WWE. Um, do you believe this report? And do you think the elite would make the jump to WWE? Also, do you hear my reflection in your audio?
No,
No? Okay, cool. Um,
no.
do you believe that the elite would make that jump to WWE?
If they do, not this soon. Maybe down the line.
Mhm.
If let's just say like they see what Hunter's doing is, so great over there and so much more organized and you know um so far from what I've been reading the reports, a lot of people have been a lot happier since Hunter has been in control.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Imagine if he keeps moving up the ranks until he basically is in Vince McMahon's fucking position
Mhm.
and just what he could do with the company then. Like I feel like not right now would they make this move, but let's just let's revisit the same question a year from now and if Tony Khan doesn't get his shit together with his company and the organization and um if the talents aren't happy over there, I could kind of see it. But I think right now they wouldn't want to off of pride
Mhm.
because of how much they all kind of rubbed into WWE's face in the beginning of AEW. It would look very foolish to watch them immediately just like fold. I know, like, from what the report said, they're only extending their contract till 2023 or 2024.
I think into
What was
2023.
the extension? 2023. Okay, yeah, so they still have that year left. Um, I think they honestly want to stick around just to see how everything does play out, and they probably make their decision there because no matter where they go, they're always going to be marketable.
Yeah.
They're like no matter where they go, people are going to know their names and they're going to be a draw. I don't think they really need AEW, but I think they are sticking around because this originally started off as if it's a project that's also under them. So they want to
Mhm.
work with it.
Yeah.
They obviously want to salvage what they have left of this company and probably, um, make amends with everyone. But it does make you question considering they lost their position as EVPs.
Mhm.
Essentially, like what do you do from here? Like you got demoted. How do they feel in this moment? I don't know. What do you think?
I honestly think that they would. Um, I think that they're not going to openly say it because they do want to work with the AEW Dynamite and Rampage products a little bit more. They want to see where it goes from
Right.
here. I feel like you can't talk about all elite wrestling without the elite, and specifically Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Cody is a different case because he kind of had a name before the Indies and joining Bullet Club and joining the elite, but you can't say the same for Kenny and the Bucks. They are the elite. They are the proverbial heart and soul of all elite wrestling. But I do feel like they would be interested in signing with WWE, and the reason why I say that is because I feel like they may be at a point or maybe have somewhat considered, like, especially after the whole all out fallout. Nah, that was a bar. Um,
Heh.
I
That
feel
was a good
like
play on
after the
words.
whole all out fallout, they realized we this is not our company. They do not legally own all elite wrestling. Tony Khan does.
Nope.
This is his company. And I feel like part of the allure of starting AEW was like, this is the elite's company. No, 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 no. Tony Khan, being the smart businessman that he is, had the money and partnered with people who had already established a brand and put money behind a company that was fueled with the momentum of that brand of the elite to create all elite wrestling. But just because you use Tony Khan used essentially the name, image, likeness of the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and Cody Rhodes to create all elite wrestling. But just because you use somebody's name, image, and likeness to add value to what you're doing doesn't mean that whoever you were using has equity in your company. So I think that they understand, as much as like we love this, as much as we see our vision come to fruition in this company, we have to understand that this is not our company, which means the only thing that we can determine is like, well, how much money do we want to make? And there's a ceiling on that. Based on Tony's budget, Tony is going to decide who gets what. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then we might as well put ourselves in a position to make the most money. And if there's anybody that's going to compete with Tony, it's WWE, right? And like, I think the decision is just bigger than wrestling because it's like, I don't know about Kenny, but I know that Nick and Matt have families. You understand? Like they got kids. They have wives and properties and stuff. So it's just like, I think that when the time comes, you know, they may join, but I think it's based on their needs of their family and how stable they want them to be and how much more they want to go for, right? But I could definitely see them jumping to WWE for sure. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I hit the
You're
button because
you're good.
I didn't want this noise distracting you. But my question was, how do you think that would affect AEW if the elite all collectively just dipped?
The momentum would leave. I think that once again, um, I feel like people were attracted to going to All Elite Wrestling because of the Elite, because of Cody and the Bucks and Kenny, and I feel like a lot of guys wanted to come to AEW to work with those guys, whether you're a tag team like FTR or whether you're a singles competitor like Brian Danielson who wants to go against, a guy like Kenny Omega, who at the time was New Japan Wrestling's golden child. You know what I mean? And I feel like the allure of AEW was, oh snap, I could work with Kenny. Oh snap, I could work with the Bucks. And I have creative control and I only work one time a week. I'm sold. So it's like, I feel like if all those guys were to leave All Elite Wrestling, like it's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit
So you don't
hard.
think they have created like a attractive enough roster in the time being? They debuted in like 2019 ish.
Yeah,
It's been a few years. You don't think that they had created you know, give me one moment.
you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I was saying, I was wondering, that it's been like 3 years now. That's about think yeah, about 3 years now. That's a pretty long time for them to build up other talent,
Hmm.
um, and try to create another circle beyond just the EVPs. Because, like you said, they were the hook. They were that fish bait to get us all hooked into tuning into AEW, especially if you're like a long time indie fan or Mark or whatever. That was the appetizer. But it's just like now that they've been here for this amount of years, do you think that Tony Khan has done a good enough job with shining light on other talent? So let's just say in the worst possible situation, the EVP all collectively drop at the same time and say, "Yeah, no, I'm dipping, going to WWE." Like, who would fulfill that role? Like, who do you think is built up enough now? Do
The
you think
only
there's
per
anyone built up enough now? Mhm.
I think the only person that I honestly don't know. And that's a very, very good question because I don't know. And the reason why I say I don't know, I think that they have a drastically better roster than they did when they started. However, one, I feel
Mhm.
like they have a roster outside the elite, they have a roster of role players as opposed to star players. I think that
Ooh.
they have some stars on there, but I feel like it's kind of like the same notion that it's kind of like the same notion of like you have an NBA team and like you have, let's just say, like a Kevin Durant or a Kyrie Irving, and they're both inactive for the season, but like you have like your third star. Like I feel like AEW is filled with like the third stars, right? I feel like they got legends in AEW. I feel like they have Daniel Bryan. I feel like
Mhm.
they have Cesaro, like Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Chris Jericho. But like, if we're talking about building a company, we're talking about building the future. It's about what you're doing for your younger stars more than it is for your older stars. I feel like Mox, Bryan, Jericho are solidified to the point where they don't need to do anything else. But it's like you can't, build your company on the backs of those three guys. It's about what you're doing for your younger
Mhm.
talent. And I feel like while they've had the majority of their roster, I feel like Tony has taken his eye off the ball. Like, I feel like MJF should have been built way more. And I feel like if he has a world title within the near future, I feel like he can be that guy. I feel like Sammy should have been built way more. I feel like Darby should have been built way more. Sammy
Oh,
has had
word,
Sammy
word.
has had his TNT title reigns and what may have you. He is who he is, and I think that he's a phenomenal talent. But I feel like Darby should have been built a
Mhm.
little bit more. I feel like Jungle Boy should have been built a little bit more. If you're gonna consider these guys the four pillars of AEW, 3 years into your company, they should be tried and true, proven stars by now. Jungle Boy should not be beefing with Christian Cage. Like, he should have, he has the tag team titles under his belt, but he should have a TNT title under his belt. I feel like
And Ricky Starks, he needs to stop playing with Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks as well. Like, they have the talent, you know what I mean? I feel like they have a lot of I feel like AEW has a lot of talent, but if there were people that if you ask me like who can step into their place, step into like the Bucks and Kenny's place right now, I don't see anybody because I they haven't done a good job. They haven't done as good of a job as they can with building their younger guys. So, that's my take on it. What about you? Do
I
you feel the
agree
same?
entirely.
Yeah.
No, I feel entirely the same, and I feel like no one talks about it because we're so distracted with the elite and seeing these already established faces that we love from WWE. Like,
Mhm.
I think we all just like gotten used to it and accepted it that these are our main 10 players and everyone else is kind of like a filler, which it sucks because you're supposed to be homegrown talent. You're supposed to take advantage of your homegrown talent because they're supposed to be the direct reflection of you of
Mhm.
like, do you know how awesome it'd be to be in Tony Khan's position to take a nobody that nobody knew about, no one's talking about, and you took them, put them in your company, and you built them up to be a draw, to be like worth $1 million freaking bucks. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that would make you look amazing as a boss, not taking people who are already established from other companies who we already like and then putting them in the driver's seat every single time.
Mhm.
Because again, they already knew walking in that, yeah, I'm that guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm an investment for you.
Mhm.
That's the part I don't think that Tony Khan like thought about when he was doing all these signings and stuff like that, or when he was doing all these bookings. So he treated these people better because it's just like they're walking in already like at a certain level.
Yeah.
Like in his position, like you just said, he should have had at least 5 people properly built up that were homegrown talent that we didn't know nothing about, and he should have took those people, and it should by now 3 years deep, they should be set up in a position where it's just like, I if my elite leaves or my veterans leave, we aight because we literally sat here and like built up from the ground up our own strong roster. So shit, I mean, but he's learning. He's learning
He's
as he
learning. Yeah.
goes. So hopefully, the same way he learned from this last situation with the all out fallout, as you called it, like that, we're gonna coin that.
That's a
Um,
bar. That's a
same way,
bar.
same way that he learned from that. I hope he learns from this experience and that this is all a wake up call because he needs to
Mhm.
make better, smarter moves.
That's a fact.
That's what I
I
gotta
I
say.
agree with that. I was gonna say, in addition to that, to kind of to end my little rant, when I was thinking about this whole situation with Tony Khan, I don't know if you follow the NBA, but when I was thinking about this whole situation with Tony Khan, it reminded me of Joe Tsai. Joe Tsai is the owner of the Brooklyn Nets. And this past offseason was hell for him because Joe Tsai was in a position where he was kind of put in a pickle where he had to trade his biggest asset in Kevin Durant. And, Kevin was, said, I'm not staying unless you fire the coach or you fire the GM. He didn't do either. It was like, and then he was like, oh, well, I need to go to Miami. I have all these places. And Josai was like, "I'm not trading you unless I get something in return for you." But just like the stance that he took, and eventually Kevin Durant was like, "All right, I'll stay in Brooklyn." Like it kind of resembles that where like I'm not I'm not budging for you. I'm setting this is mine. I'm setting the tone and I'm moving forward and I'm going to be doing what's best for my company. The same way Joe Tsai did that for the Brooklyn Nets is what I believe um Tony Khan did for AEW. So I just wanted to sprinkle that on before we
No,
move on to
excellent analogy.
for the next thing. But